How's it going, guys? My name is Davis, and I will be doing my presentation today, uh, talking about my experience for my internship at Humpals Physical Therapy. To start off, I wanted to talk about kind of the site information and where you can locate Humpals Physical Therapy. So the address is 5026 Deepwood Circle. It's right there off of Staples and SPID. They have quite a bit of hours. Their availability is pretty wide. So Monday through Thursday, we're open 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And Fridays, we're open 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And fortunately for me, we were not open on the weekends, which I appreciated that very much. But I would say it made it a little bit more challenging for me to accumulate the hours that I was needing for this internship program. But luckily for me, it was only about a 7-minute drive from my house to work, so it wasn't much of a hassle, nor did I lose that much gas money getting to and from work. And on top of that, we're also working at the athletic club as a personal trainer, and it was only about a little bit less than 10-minute drive from there as well. And I was having to go back and forth, so it was pretty convenient for the location of Humple's Physical Therapy. Now for this slide, I do want to go over kind of a day in the life that I had here at Humple's Physical Therapy and just the tasks that I had as a rehabilitation technician. So, I mean, it went from cleaning, dusting, sanitizing each equipment that we had, which was mandatory because of a lot of the patients that we have there are elderly and are a little bit more susceptible to diseases that are out there. So it is very important to keep everything sanitized. On top of that, I needed to learn exercises for the specific therapists because each therapist has their own names for exercises. So, for example, like a seated row, you might know it as a seated row, but they might know it as a seated arm pull. just for a bad example. Um, but some other objectives that I had would be to learn the layout of the clinic, which again it's very big. There is treatment rooms, 12 of them. There's a big gym with 5 different pods in it. There's also a pool, which I have yet to get to, so that is something that I'm interested in learning and getting my hands on. So that was quite a bit of a process to understand what is going on in each room and each pod located in the gym. And with that, I needed to know how to show a patient how to perform the exercise, and on top of that, show them what not to do and the common kind of mistakes that people make when performing those exercises. And I'll get into it a little bit later, but the flags, there are flags located at each pod and at each room in the treatment area. And I had to learn each meaning for each flag, and for the room flags, each therapist had their own set of flags. So I had to remember what flags meant what flags were meant for that specific therapist, and that was quite difficult. Now for this slide, it was kind of tough because I had a bunch of good experiences, but one that really came to mind was the themes that we had, and I've only been there for the Halloween theme, so it was just for the week. We had to dress up, or it wasn't mandatory, but you had the option to dress up as what the theme was for that day. So Monday through Friday, we had a different theme, and the picture that I have here, which it is quite blurry, but it was dress up as your favorite cartoon characters or movie characters, and I'm there right in the middle under Luigi. It's a bad quality picture, but I got Mike Wazowski on my shoulder. That was the best that I could do. But it was a lot of fun because everybody got together and everybody was super enthusiastic. So I enjoyed that experience a lot. Now for this slide, I wanted to talk about what the most challenging experience that I had. And it's hard to see, but on the picture to the right, you can see the flags above the gentleman there. And those are the flags that I talked about briefly in the slide before. And so each therapist, which I think there is about six to eight therapists, and each therapist had their own set of flags. And I had about 3 or 4 days to memorize each flags for the therapist. And not only that, for each pod, we had flags there as well. So, for example, a yellow flag means that there's a technician that is needed. And if there's a red and a green one up, that means the pod is completely full. And for another example, if there's just a gray flag, that means there's a dirty room that needs to be cleaned. And most of the time, there's going to be a yellow flag up with that pod because a technician is needed to clean that said pod. Overall, it was quite challenging because there was a lot of information and a lot of things that I had to learn and understand. But the flags were most definitely the most challenging experience that I had. For this one, I really had to think, but I would have done a few different things differently. And the first one being ask more questions. I'm pretty good about asking questions when I have one, but there were times that I thought I knew either the exercise was or where something was, and in reality, I wasn't certain of it. And sometimes I did think some questions were dumb, but not all questions are dumb. I think all questions are valid, and if you have a question, might as well ask it. So I could improve on that, or done that differently, and study more. So this goes along with learning the flags, learning the layout of the gym. I learned by being there and working alongside my coworkers, but we were given packets, and I could have learned and studied that packet more at home. And lastly, I would have worked more hours throughout the week. I struggled with this because I work at the Corpus Christi Athletic Club, and I didn't work as many hours as I should, so I could have accumulated a little bit more throughout this semester if I would have just opened up my availability. So that's something that I could have done differently. And so for this last slide, the most important professional lesson that I was given at my time here at Humpals Physical Therapy was from my supervisor, and her name is Yvonne Ramirez, and it's very self-explanatory, and I'll probably take this wherever I go in life, but it's don't ever get complacent because there's always room for improvement no matter what career you're in, no matter where you're at in life. There's always room for you to better yourself, for you to get more knowledgeable on a specific topic. But to say the least, do not get complacent. You can always be better.